everyone, here's another Comic Clerks video, and here's another Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode, 4,722 hours, and I'm still playing catch up, but I only have one more episode, to watch, and then I should be all caught up. Alright, so we start this episode, it starts 6 months ago, where Fitz is asking Simmons out to dinner, and this is when we see Simmons get sucked into the monolith and get tossed onto this barren planet. So Simmons is trying to figure out where she is, and she sees that she's somewhere where there are 2 moons, and she starts to take notes, about this planet waiting for her extraction. She believes Fitz will find a way to find her because, they have dinner plans. So 13 hours in, she decides to take a nap and wakes up 9 hours later seeing that the sun isn't up yet. So she's not happy about that at all, not happy about that at all. So we hop 49 hours and we see, that there's still no sun. Simmons is freaking out because she wants the sun to rise. When will the sun rise? And she's doesn't even know what she's getting a little frustrated here. So this is around Simmons knows that she has to find water soon, so she leaves for markers for Fitz to find her. And while Simmons is looking for the water, she's distracting herself with details, of the date that they're gonna have. So 101 hours in, Simmons has found water. And she finally breaks down, she has a little fit, and it's pretty, acceptable at this point in time. She's been on this planet for a while, and, she doesn't know if she's going to get rescued or not. This is when she decides to take a swim and is attacked by some weird tentacle creature, which she escapes by, tearing off one of the tentacles. She then decides she's going to eat it. So I guess, being on a barren planet for so long, you gotta eat what you gotta eat. So we're 3 weeks in, and, Simmons has to eat, and she goes after this same tentacle thing that grabbed her before. This time she catches it and grills it. The first time she just ate it raw. She had no problem with eating it raw, but this time she decided she was going to put some char on it and make it taste hopefully a little better. She's recording all these experiences on her phone and, telling pretty much she's been on this planet for a month right about now. This is when she, she starts to hear something and follows the noise, where she falls into a trap knocking her out. And she wakes up in a cage where someone is watching her. But whoever is watching her, asks her if she's still there. And she yells at him yes and to let her out. This is when we get 824 hours in. As Simmons is doing pull-ups in her cage. When her captor walks in and Simmons, tries to reason with him to let her out. He pokes her to make her move away from the bars and, and he puts food in there, So he leaves her the food and she eats it, coming up with an idea to fake a stomach ache to make her escape. So she starts having a stomach ache and the guy comes in and she clocks him and then she decides to run for it. So the guy pursues her, and Simmons hurts herself and he tells her, that something's coming for them and takes her back into his hideout. So this guy, tells her that the planet is evil, while Simmons is trying to find a scientific way, scientific reason for the planet's behavior. The guy tells her, the planet has moods, and Simmons just thinks he's crazy. So he tries to help Simmons with her wound, and Simmons refuses, according to, she says she can do her own patch-up work by herself. According to this guy, he thought Simmons was an illusion the whole time. And Simmons tells her next time he thinks that, somebody's an illusion, let them hit him. So we find out this guy's name is Will, and according to him, He's been there for 14 years and was sent by NASA. So Simmons is going through all this stuff and finds a map of the area, and she asks about a no-fly zone. And Will tells her, that they're not supposed to go there, only bad stuff happens there. And Will is trying to wrap his mind around, it being 14 years that he plays with Simmons' phone. And Simmons asks him, does he have anything to generate power for her phone? And he tells her everything to generate power is powered by the sun. And as she can see, there's no sun there. So they start talking about, NASA sending him through the monolith. And supposedly it was supposed to be the quickest way to travel through space. And Will asks if she's not with NASA, how did she get into the monolith? And she tells him that it's not with NASA anymore, it's with S.H.I.E.L.D. And he's surprised S.H.I.E.L.D. is real. When he was back when he was on Earth, he thought it was just a rumor. So he tells her, he volunteered for this mission, and, and it was the first one through the monolith. And he tells her, that the thing that's out there made his team go crazy. And Simmons asks how he survives, and he tells her, that he outsmarted whatever was out there. And Simmons, tells them, that, there could be another reason for their death, and that extreme isolation could have made them go crazy. And he tells her, they're astronauts, they're trained for stuff like that. And she says there's got to be a reason. And he accuses her of accusing him that he went crazy and killed all of them. And he tells her, that she has no idea what's going on this planet. And since, she apologizes, since they're going to be, working together. And he asks her on what. And she tells him on getting home, of course. And he tells her there's no getting home. She just needs to accept that. And she tells him, there's always hope. And he tells her not on this planet. And she tells him that's how they'll work together. She'll be the voice of hope. And he'll be the voice of doom. So 1490 hours in, since Simmons has been there, they're going over what food they miss. And Simmons, she asks him what he misses that's not food. And he tells her the sun. And we all know Simmons misses Fitz, and she starts watching an old birthday video. And Will tells her that Fitz seems to be, more than a best friend. And, she kind of agrees. And we all know that Fitz is more than a best friend, so keep your distance, Will. So 10 hours in, since she's been there, Simmons flips out. She hasn't found anything, and she wants to go to the no-fly zone. Will tells her, that she's not going there, and she tells him, he can't keep her prisoner. So she leaves and heads to the no-fly zones and starts taking samples, and she starts to find all kind of things, from other people who have been there. This is when she figures out, that the answers are in the stars. So she starts to see the sandstorm and starts to run, and she gets swept up in it, and, she sees a figure walking in the storm. So she makes her way back to the hideout and yells at Will to open the door. They both hop into the hideout, and she admits that he was, right, and she saw something in the sandstorm, and he asks, where she saw it, and she tells him where she was. And she tells him that she was at the no-fly zone, and she tells him everything she saw. But it looks like he already knew, and Simmons is upset that he didn't tell her about it, and he tells her, he didn't say anything because he knew she would only go and try to explore it, and that thing has been killing people for centuries. And Simmons wonders why people kept sending people through the monolith. Were they sacrifices? What was going on? So Will doesn't plan on joining, any of the sacrifices. And Simmons tells him, they won't because she has found a way off the planet. So Simmons has figured out how to find where the portal will show up next. And she plans to use the last of her phone battery power, on some of the NASA equipment to track the stars to find the portal. So 3183 hours in, Simmons has found the next location of the portal and is 18 days away. So Will tells her, they'll never be able to do it, and she tells him that isn't he the guy who can never resist a challenge? And she tells him she got 2 weeks to figure it out. So they set out to get to the portal, and the canyon that they had to cross seems to have expanded. And Will believes, that's the monster. It doesn't want them to leave. And they see the portal open, so they decide to send a message in a bottle to the other side for Fitz. But the bottle doesn't make it before the portal closes. And this is when we see Simmons, breaks down and finally accepts that she isn't getting off this planet. So Will tries to console her, and Simmons, finally realizes there's no hope. But Will says that's not true since she showed up, and him and Simmons kiss. I am not happy with that at all. Fitz and Simmons forever. I don't care what you guys say. This Will guy needs to back off. So for 47, 20 hours in, it looks like, they're going to find another... I don't know if they're going to find another portal or if the sun is coming up. It didn't really specify. And we see that their beds are pushed together and they share another kiss. So they go out to find, I think it's a portal. I have to probably watch it again and see if it was a portal or not. So they go out to find the next portal. And it looks like Will has gotten some wine from the no-fly zone for the portal. And this is when they see that the flare that Fitz shot through the portal from his side, this is when they go after it. So the sandstorm shows up and the creature looks like an astronaut. But, Simmons tries to walk to it thinking it's Will. And this is when Will finds her and tells her to run, where the flare shot up out of. And this is when we hear Fitz screaming for her. And this is when we see Fitz rescuing her. So we go back to, to where Simmons is rescued and everything. And she's finishing up her story. And Fitz doesn't really have an answer for her and goes to the lab. And Simmons wants him to understand. And Fitz tells her, he does understand. Because he was trying to get her back from the monolith, so he does understand where she's coming from. So he shows her all his info on the monolith and tell her they're going to get Will back. Alright, this is one of those Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes that was really slow. I felt like it was kind of like a filler episode. It was trying to cram us with a bunch of information. It wasn't one of my favorite episodes, so if I gotta watch it again, I guess I'll watch it again. But it's not one of my favorite episodes, this one. Especially since Simmons was kissing Will. I really don't appreciate that at all. So, tell me what you guys liked about this episode. Tell me what you guys didn't like about this episode. Leave it in the comments, you guys. Thank you guys for viewing. Have a good day.